And we're back with our weekly energy update with Dan McTeague, president of Canadians for Affordable Energy.
Well, thank you. And once again, Nima, another week passes by, not without a lot of news coming from the energy side. And in particular, last week we talked about the Bay du Nord project being shelved for 3 years on the day that Newfoundland was hosting an energy forum with the Minister of Labor, Natural Resources, and others there in attendance. A very, very big announcement that really came like a ton of bricks. Well, another one came this week. And on Wednesday, Irving, a plant that and a company that never divulges anything about itself, has said that they're contemplating sale or perhaps the breakup of the company into various components. But reading between the lines, I think it's fairly clear that if Irving, which is Canada's largest single refinery at 330,000 barrels a day, produces almost 80% of its goods for the United States, especially a critical market like the U.S. Northeast. That's Boston, Washington, New York, even down to Philadelphia. When it's producing about 20% of all their needs and decides that maybe it isn't a good time to be in business, you have to ask why. It seems that it's the federal government's second carbon tax, the clean fuel standard, which has the company very concerned. In early reports, as I had indicated twice in 2 reports that I have at Canadians for Affordable Energy, they're both there. You can see about the clean fuel standard, why the 4 provinces of premiers have come together to demand the federal government for the second time, pursuant to our work and confirmation by the Parliamentary Budget Officer that this is going to hurt Canadians, particularly those on lower incomes. Measure that with what refineries are going to have to do. Blend more ethanol, get crude that is going to require greater amounts of intensity by carbon credits. That makes companies like Irving and all refineries in Canada targets. They cannot compete with their American counterparts, so many may just decide to pack it in and go. That's 40,000 jobs directly and indirectly, and it could mean significant disruptions in supply for gasoline, for diesel, and heating oil, which is very much used in Atlantic Canada. Enough for that for now, but it is very much a shot across the bow. That is a country that is the only country in the world that has 2 carbon taxes and is planning to do a lot more to destroy its oil and gas sector at a time where the world needs more. Canada has got it completely and absolutely wrong. Nevertheless, gas prices are going to continue to be tested in the next week or so. The Saudi Arabian move to cut 1 million barrels, matched with the possibility that the United States is so desperate that it's prepared to cut a deal on Iranian uranium enrichment by a third, means that the U.S. may be looking to try to find ways to replenish the rather ridiculous and certainly disconcerting use of its strategic petroleum reserve to try to stabilize prices. Prices have not stabilized, they've come down, but it would appear that we're on the cusp edge of yet another surge in prices led by oil. More than likely, the moment the U.S. Finally ends its ridiculous draw, that'll be sometime at the end of June, of another 8 million barrels, then it has to replenish about 200 million barrels. So that's that represents at a time when the world is about 1.5 million barrels short. That is going to take quite a hit on the global economy. So unless someone's got a lot of spare barrels hanging around or new pipelines that they've built, certainly won't be Canada, it's going to be tough times ahead. What that means, Vancouver will remain in the 205 range. Might come down a penny, might go up a penny for the next week. But by the end of next week, we could be back to $2.10 a liter for Vancouver, $1.80 for the rest of BC. And of course, if we're looking at Alberta, 145, up 3 cents a liter in that range. Same for Saskatchewan and Manitoba, the 165 range, 62 to 65. Ontario at $1.63, down to 162, heading back to 167 by week's end. So about a 4 to 5 cent increase. Same for Montreal, which will put them in the range of about $1.80. And the Maritimes, well, the Maritimes are coming awfully close. 3 of 4 provinces there do not have a carbon tax. The carbon tax they have is insufficient. We're heading to the point where they're going to see a 14, actually with tax HST at 15%. We're going to be looking at a net increase right across Newfoundland, Nova Scotia, and PEI of about 16 cents a liter. What that really means is if they think that $1.60 to $1.70 is expensive, they ain't seen nothing yet. Such is the requirement that the federal government is imposing, and in provinces that can least afford it, the federal first and second carbon taxes are going to have quite an impact. The second carbon tax won't be seen as much, but it will have the impact of increasing ethanol in your gas tank, which means you're going to be getting less mileage for the first or second year, then add another 30 cents a liter as we go from 2025 to 2030. We've got a lot of time to talk about that, Nima. We'll talk more next week.
All right, thanks for that, Dan. Again, that was Dan McTeague, president of Canadians for Affordable Energy, with Forum Daily's weekly energy update.